Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. We're back again with you guys for another show and another episode of our tactical breakdown series in which we look at the players that Arsenal could, should, maybe will, and fingers crossed hopefully will sign for Arsenal this coming summer. We've made our first signing of the summer. Gabriel Martinelli joined Arsenal from Ituano for about £6 million, and I did a video on that yesterday and have done videos on a breakdown of the guy in the past couple of weeks. So please go check that out if you want to learn more about Gabriel Martinelli, because he's a very fantastic and exciting prospect. But today we're looking at a player that's going to be more an established signing if he is to join Arsenal at the Emirates, and that is Nabil Fekir. Now, Nabil Fekir has been linked to Arsenal in the past, has been very much tipped to being well suited to Arsenal, it's fair to say, with several clubs interested in him across the seasons he has been at Lyon. In fact, last season he was pretty much on the verge of joining Liverpool for around £60 million and reportedly failed a medical, and that's why that deal fell through. But this summer it's reported that Arsenal are open talks with Lyon and Aulas, the president, about a deal for the Frenchman, and at a cut price deal of around £30 million, which would be an absolute steal for what is a very exciting and still quite young at 25 years of age midfielder. But before we get into the video and break down this guy's stats, let's please leave a like, please subscribe if you're new around here with those notifications turned on, and leave a comment in the description. Your comments, as always, have been really humbling, really fantastic to see what you guys think of some of the Zaha signing rumours, of the whole Gabriel Martinelli deal. Really, really good and positive feelings going on in the comment section, so keep that up. And I hope you enjoyed today's video as well, because I know it's been a bit of a late upload and there's been reasons for that, mess across social media, but I wanted to get some brilliant content in for you guys, and so that's why I've waited a little bit later to get it all ready and all together, so I hope you appreciate it. Now, I want to start off the video by giving basically the spotlight to someone who knows a lot more about French football than I do, and that's Mr. Jeremy Smith. Jeremy Smith is a brilliant French football expert, and he knows all about French football, and especially Nabil Fekir. So you're about to hear his thoughts on Nabil Fekir and what he thinks of the deal and what he could bring to Arsenal.
This time last year, or just over a year ago, it looked like Nabil Fekir was well on his way to Liverpool for a deal around 60 or 70 million pounds or euros. Since then, his stock's fallen quite a bit. He hasn't had the best season, but there's still a quality player there, as he showed in flashes even during the World Cup. He's a left-footed, tricky winger come striker. He can play anywhere across the front three. He can play as a number 10. He can play in the midfield. He's an excellent dead ball specialist. Two seasons ago, he scored free kicks against PSG, Monaco and Marseille to help win matches. He's scored in derbies against Saint-Etienne, and he's performed well for France as well. This last season, as I said, not his best season, yet he's still stepped up with man-of-the-match performances against Manchester City, a crucial goal against Shakhtar Donetsk to help Lyon qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. It felt a little bit like maybe this season was one season too far at Lyon. He clearly wanted to leave last summer. It all fell through last minute with Liverpool, which didn't leave a bad taste, but it felt like he was kind of suffering a bit from depression. Yeah, he still had decent stats for the season. He still scored 12 goals. There's concern about his knee, but I think that's been overblown. He maybe occasionally has weight issues, occasionally looks disinterested, but frankly, I think he needs a move, and there's an absolutely brilliant player there, and for 30 million euros, I think if Arsenal could get him for that amount, that's a real bargain. He formed a brilliant partnership at Lyon with Lacazette. It would be fantastic to see that reunited as soon as possible.
So there were Jeremy Smith's thoughts on Nabil Fekir. You can follow Jeremy Smith on Twitter at JeremySmith98. And there was lots he covered there that I want to talk about briefly. The first thing is about, obviously, what he began talking about, his positioning. Now, you can see from the heat map on your screen there how much of a sort of versatile player across the line he is. As Jeremy said, he plays across the front three, but mainly this season has played in sort of a second striker, central attacking midfield role at Lyon, and you've seen him play across that line, but you've seen him move and be more versatile across the pitch, moving left, moving right. You could arguably say he leans slightly more to the right-hand side of the pitch because he's got a hell of a left foot in which he can whip those shots in, curl those shots past the keeper away from him, and he uses that to his advantage. And we can see that in the heat map there. Now, the player that I want to compare Nabil Fekir to is Ozil. Now, when you can see the heat maps next to each other on the screen now, you can see how Ozil's heat map is very, very similar in terms of the movement, definitely uses both sides of the pitch to his advantage, but you don't see as much progression into the box. Whereas you see Nabil Fekir's heat map, we've got some clear runs being made into the box. He likes to get in on goal. He likes to create more. He likes to dribble with the ball a lot more, and you can see that in the heat map on your screen there. Now, the next thing that Jeremy talked about was obviously the types of goals and the games that he has played. Whilst it wasn't his best season, the fact that he came out with these big opportunities and came out with these big performances in big matches is something that Arsenal need. We criticise Mesut Ozil a lot because obviously he doesn't turn up in big away games. He doesn't turn up in as many games as we'd made like throughout the season. He's inconsistent. And whilst Fekir weren't the most consistent player across the season and did have a couple of blips, he turned up in the big games when it mattered, came up with big goals when they needed them, and that's the type of player that Arsenal desperately need. Now, if we go into focusing on some of the statistics and comparisons between Ozil and Fekir, we'll have a look at his attacking stats to start off with. So what you can see on the screen there is a comparison between the two, and we can see that in terms of his shots, the amount of shots that Fekir actually takes is around 8 times the amount of shots that Ozil makes during the game, although Ozil's are more accurate. But you can see there that that is down to the fact that Fekir is definitely hitting that and peppering that goal a lot more often than what Ozil is doing. So it's just a very, very different type of attacking midfielder to what Ozil is. Ozil is more the creator, as we'll talk about in those passing stats in a second. But Fekir is definitely someone that wants to make the game happen more. He wants to take the game to the opposition and try and cause mistakes and try and create and score goals a lot more than his German counterpart. When you look at his XG, that is reflected definitely in the 0.44 for Fekir and the 0.1 for Ozil. And you can definitely say in the shot assists, you'd expect them to be higher for Ozil, and they are. In terms of crossing, not as accurate. Ozil isn't as Fekir is, but Ozil does do more crosses per games than what Fekir does, even though he's playing in that central position. They both like to sort of drift out wide to get into positions where they can create something. And whilst Ozil crosses the ball more often, Fekir's crosses, a tactic Arsenal definitely use to their advantage with the cutbacks and the low-driven crosses across the box. He is more accurate with those, and so we could definitely take advantage of that. And then we look at the dribbles. Now, the dribbles is definitely something that Fekir is known for. 6.67 dribbles with a 70.9% success rate with those dribbles. With Ozil, 3 times less than that, only 2.23 dribbles, and a 68.5% success. So while he's only slightly less successful in his dribbles, Ozil, he's doing nowhere near as many as what Fekir is per match. And he's just a very, very different stylistically than what Fekir is. If we look at his offensive duels, it's a similar story. Offensive duels for Fekir, he's doing more and he's being more successful in those offensive duels as well. He has more touches in the box. We talked about that with the heat map, how he progresses more into the box than what Ozil does. But Ozil does make more progressive runs throughout the pitch, trying to make runs for teammates and trying to find spaces. But Fekir's not really the type to do that. He's more the type to come and find the ball and take the ball to the opposition. And you saw that there with those attacking statistics. Now, if we move on to his passing side of the game, this is where you see Ozil start to shine a little bit more than the Frenchman. His number of passes and his accuracy is higher than the Frenchman's, and it's only 2% less in terms of his accuracy, but the amount of passes going on is much higher. His long passes are actually more accurate, even though he's making less of them, Ozil. And then when we talk about the number of his through passes, they are higher, but Fekir's accuracy of his through passes is in fact higher than that of the Germans. But then when we look at the passes in the final third and the passes to the box, the German is both more accurate and more frequent with those. And so you can definitely argue that Fekir is more of a selfish player when it comes to taking those chances rather than creating them than Mesut Ozil is. Then if we look at obviously this in the whole context of what Arsenal need, I think that Mesut Ozil has obviously created a lot of criticism for himself with his time at Arsenal due to his lack of consistency and the wages and the amount of games that he misses. But he is still a very, very valuable asset to the club. He has got a lot of quality to his game. We wish that it was available more often. But the difference with him and Nabil Fekir is definitely that the Frenchman loves to be on the ball, loves to take the ball to the opposition, make things happen. And the reason why people were excited about the Zaha deal was because the Ivorian is someone that definitely is great on the ball, takes players on, takes it past players, and makes things happen. And that is what people will like in Nabil Fekir if we are to sign the Lyon attacking midfielder, and I hope it is definitely someone that we do sign. I think, as Jeremy said, signing someone like that for around 30 million is an extreme bargain in this manic world. When you're seeing the likes of Jose Perez leave Newcastle for Leicester for the same amount of money, it really goes to show how much quality you're getting for the amount of money that we would be playing. So let's hope that Arsenal talks with Lyon, if the rumours are to be believed, do go well, and we can make a big play for the Frenchman this summer. And that pretty much rounds off the video. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. I really hope you have, and you leave a like on the video. And if you are new here, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. Go check out some of the previous videos we've been doing. We've been doing tactical breakdowns, we've done raw reactions, and we've done some season previews as well with the likes of Kenny Ken and Lee Judges that you should definitely go and enjoy. So we'll see you again very soon for the next one. And as always, up the Arsenal.